Welcome to In the Kitchen with Dinah. Today we're making Salisbury steak and mashed potatoes.
Someone's in the kitchen with Dinah. Someone's in the kitchen, I know. Someone's in the kitchen with Dinah. Gonna taste good, I know.
Salisbury steak and mashed potatoes is once again one of my favorite things, and I wouldn't be making these if I didn't like them. The first thing we need to do to get started is make our mashed potatoes, and I usually use my Instant Pot. I'm going to show you how to do that. So I've got the 6-quart Instant Pot, and all I've done is I cut a bunch of potatoes up and I've quartered them. We're going to add about a little over a cup of water, and I salt it. Put on the lid, turn it to pressure at 8 minutes and let it go. Then we're gonna go make our beef patties. So now we'll start on the Salisbury steaks. So I have 1.5 pounds of ground beef, and I just have a pretty big bowl because we have to mix it up. Let me grab an egg. So we got 1 egg going in. So we got 1 egg in there. I'm going to put a 1/2 cup of breadcrumbs in. Oh, onion. I forgot about the onion. So we need to cut up about a 1/2 cup of onion. Now, I always keep mine in foil. If you watched my videos in the past, let's just use this chunk. It seems to keep it fresher in the fridge. You want a pretty fine dice on this because you don't want big chunks of onion to bite into it when you're eating the little steaks. All right. All right, so we got onion, soft breadcrumbs. The next thing we need 1/2 to 1 teaspoon of seasoned salt. And I just use the Lowrys. I usually put in the 1. I like it a little seasoned. And some pepper. About a 1/4 teaspoon. It's going to take a second. That looks about good. All right, and my hands are clean and I'm just going in. This really is the best way to mix up meatloaves and meatballs and Salisbury steaks. Okay, that looks pretty well mixed. I'm going to punch it down with my hand a little, and I'm going to divide it. Well, let's do this over. Probably 6 patties. And I just kind of division them out, then I'll. Okay, so now we're going to make our sauce, so I'm going to go ahead and wash my hand. I'll be right back. Okay. So now that we've got our meat mixture for the Salisbury steaks done, we're going to work on the gravy. So the recipe calls for 2 cans of beef consomme, which is very much like a really hearty beef broth, but it has MSG in it. We can't eat it, so I just use beef broth. I've got my better than bouillon, so I'm going to add probably a little extra. So I've got 2.5 cups of water, which is equivalent to the 2 soup cans. We're just going to mix that up. It's okay that it's got chunks in it because it's going to cook again on the cooktop. Let's get a teaspoon of basil in there. It looks like almost, there's not that much in there. So we got a teaspoon of basil and 4 teaspoons of Worcestershire sauce. This really adds such great flavor. Looks like my Instant Pot's almost up to pressure over there. All right, we're also gonna add a 1/4 cup of cornstarch. That's gonna be the thickener for the gravy. And add that in. And give it a good whisk. All right, and last but certainly not least, we want a can of sliced mushrooms, and I've already drained these. And if you don't like mushrooms, feel free to leave these out. They're easy to pick off though too. All right. So now we've got all our elements ready. Let's head over to the stovetop and we'll get these cooking. All right, so I've got, let's turn this on. I've got this up probably on medium high, and we've kind of portioned these out, so I just go in again. And we're just gonna free-form patty these. Make them pretty thin, and if they're not even, that's okay.
Do you need some Salisbury steaks?
He,
Do you need some that smell good? It smells so good.
it really does. All right, so if your patties quite aren't fitting, as soon as they start cooking, they're gonna shrink, and then you can stick, we're gonna stick this last one in here in a second. So we're gonna weight these. You want to brown them really good on both sides, and then we're gonna add our gravy in. All right, so when you see these kind of getting cooked around the edges, it's time to flip them. If I can flip it. Now that these have shrunk, we can get this last one in and squeeze it in there. There we go. Those are gonna cook. All right, so our timer just went on the Instant Pot. And I'm gonna relieve the pressure. Usually takes about a minute. I don't usually like hitting that with my hand because I've got burnt by the steam before. Now we wait. My gosh, come on. There it goes. All right, so when you see that little valve drop, you're good to open your Instant Pot. Now what we're gonna do is drain off most of the excess water and then we'll mash them. There's not that much water left, so. Now I just put it back in. I just mash it right in here because it's gonna keep it warm while the steaks are cooking. Got some butter, salt and pepper in there. I'm gonna throw a little bit of garlic in because I like garlic in my mashed potatoes. And a good glug of milk. And that's spilled everywhere. The great thing about this Instant Pot is that I'll be able to mash these potatoes and they'll keep it warm until I'm ready to serve them with the steaks. Okay, I'm gonna leave it just like that. Set the lid on just a jar. And it's gonna just keep it warm, and it's fine that the counter's counting, and we're gonna go back over to our Salisbury steaks. So let's flip this last one. And you wanna keep all this brown goodness in there. That is really gonna flavor, it's gonna flavor the Salisbury steak really well. So at this point, we're gonna give this a stir it up again to get all that cornstarch and everything dissolved in it. And then you just pour it over. So these are taking a nice swim in that delicious gravy that we made. And I would say probably another 10 minutes or so. I'm gonna turn this down to low and just let them hang out. That gravy that we made is gonna thicken up and be really super delicious, and then we'll plate it up and eat it. So while we were waiting for this to cook, since we're having this for dinner tonight, I just threw some mixed vegetables in a pan. We're gonna serve it with some mixed vegetables. It's a good side to that. But feel free to serve your favorite vegetable with this. I'm gonna taste this sauce. Need some salt. If you do use the beef consomme, it is a little more heavily seasoned than just using beef broth, and because it has the MSG, all the flavor enhancers, that kind of promotes that. So I'm going to add some salt because we don't have that in here. Hope that all makes sense. So these are totally finished. Our mashed potatoes are ready. So we're going to turn off the heat, grab a plate, give them a good stir because some of those butter pats were melted in there. So on this is how I serve it. I take a nice dollop of mashed potatoes, kind of in the middle of the plate, flatten it out a little. Let's do this one. They're all about the same. And then you just take one, I kind of set it half on and half off. And then I take a couple scoops of this delicious mushroom gravy we've made. And you are ready to eat. So we've got your most tender, delicious patty here. Some gravy and potatoes. And it's a blast from my childhood. This is really so delicious, especially when it's cold. Snowy out if you have snow in your parts of the your neck of the woods. I want to say thanks for joining me today. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and turn the bell on for notifications so you don't miss out on any more delicious recipes. And you guys have a great night. Oh, you lined these all up?
I think it looks very pretty that way.
You're so funny.
Do it once more, a little more energy.
That's laughing. You are my studio audience. I've not had one.
Studio audience.
Ken's like, are you going to be nervous? So I'm like, I don't know. It's hard.
Yeah, just wait till you have people in here that aren't family.
Start back.
I think start the whole thing over. Because you say it's your favorite every single episode.
It is. I wouldn't make these if I didn't like them.
Okay.
All right? Okay.
Okay.
That was for you too.
Thanks.
Gonna taste good, I know.